Hey y'all, welcome to the season finale of Life in the Jungle, Season 1, Episode 25. And you know what? We didn't think we would get through 25 of these this year, 25 episodes. That's the thanks to you all for continue to give us the motivation to keep doing show after show. Definitely, we have more in store for you next year. So definitely, thank you to you guys. Um, and we will be back next year. We will be back in the off season, and when you see us, we will look much different. I promise you that. Um, Obviously, we got a lot to go over because we missed some time there. Uh, we have
Ahem.
to, yeah, my fault, my bad. But Super Bowl 56. First question I'm gonna ask you: Are you over it?
No,
Just a simple answer, no.
no.
Yeah, I'm not over it, man. This loss, and I don't understand where people say that this loss wasn't worse or didn't hurt them worse than the Pittsburgh 2015 loss. I'm like, this loss hurt to the core. You were there, right there to becoming world champions. Not just winning a playoff game, but becoming world champions. Like I felt like somehow, some way we was gonna bring it home, and we just came up a little short. Um, I hate to say we got to relive it for this show, but what goes through your mind? What plays stand out that you just say, I wish we had that one back?
I'm going to be honest. The fact that we lost is one thing in of itself. We had a lot of people saying the Bengals are playing with house money and yada yada yada. Didn't necessarily like that characterization either because I felt like the Bengals definitely, although none of us picked them at the beginning of the season to do so, when we got on our run, they certainly earned their way there, and they were the best team in the AFC and had an opportunity, like you said, literally less than a minute and a half away from becoming Super Bowl world champions. It hurts because literally I've been waiting my entire life for that, as most Bengals fans in our age bracket, have. Now the older group, past us can actually remember the two Super Bowl appearances in '81 and '88. But this was all a dream for us.
Hmm.
We come from the age bracket where just seeing the Bengals win a playoff game, which is why we had such exhilaration and just exhaled after they beat the Raiders because that was something that we hadn't seen in 31 years. So all us, over 30, mid 30s cats is like, man, we've been waiting on that. So there was a sense of joy for how far the Bengals took it this year and wanting to take that in and soak it up. But like you said, the huge disappointment on being that close from literally being on the precipice of tapping into the promised land. So that's why I'm hurt. But I'm definitely glad that a week later, week and a half later, uh, we're able to talk about it now. I'm a lot more willing and able to elaborate and articulate my feelings at this point than I probably would have been then because I'll be honest, me, Cam. I'm a sports journalist fan to the core. I don't have nothing else. People ask me, what's the happiest moment of my life or what's on my bucket list. I tell people all the time, the Bengals winning the Super Bowl is still the only thing I want to see on this planet. Everything else is extra. you know.
Yeah, I feel
So
you.
I was a minute and 30 seconds away from seeing not only that, but something that at various times on this earth, let's be honest, I thought that I would never see.
Mhm.
So when you get to, and it don't have to be sports, this is in general, you get that close to seeing things that you thought you'd never see during your lifetime, man. It's heartbreaking. But what stands out is the two things that I spoke most about probably this year. And we make it a habit on Life in the Jungle. That's why you laugh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because I know where Brother Alex is going with this. So
We
I
make
have to
it a
laugh.
habit of
But
not
go ahead.
singling people out. We don't do it on Life in the Jungle. I try not to do it on my platform, Factual Opinions either. But but Super Bowl 56, we're gonna throw some butts in there. The offensive line and my main man Samaje Perine.
Mm.
Now, and I hate that I had to mention him by name, but I'm gonna get into that really quickly. Uh, we got by most of the year, and it's because of the greatness of our defense stepping up, making some tremendous plays, and the greatness of Joe Burrow and the skill position guys that we had, that we were able to kind of not mask, because you could see the issues with the offensive line all the way through the season, even in the playoffs. It seemed like every game we were setting the record for number of wins, despite number of times our quarterback was sacked. But at the end of the day, we've had two Super Bowls in a row now. You saw it year before last with Kansas City not being able to topple Tampa Bay after their offensive line issues caught up with them, and the same thing for us. That second half was crucial. We went up top to T. Higgins. He scores. Very next drive, momentum, Lady Mo is on our side. We get the interception. It's go time. Even Joe Burrow knew what 7 points would have did at that point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Would have put the game away. And I felt like the whole second half, that's where the Bengals were. One more touchdown puts this out of reach, because especially after OBJ went down for the Rams, and you never wish injuries on anybody on either side of the ball, you knew the Rams, since they could not run the ball on us at all, they had one drive left in them. And hats off to Sean McVay. He saved that one drive and that one, play sheet for that final drive, and he went to his money man the whole drive. Only issue I have with Zach, I'm not trying to make this, come down on Zach, anything for the game. I didn't even think it was a bad play calling, game. But 2 minutes left. There were two, well, before I get to the 4th and 1, there were two crucial short yardage plays. 3rd and a yard, 4th down 1, where Samaje Perine is in the game instead of your Pro Bowl running back, one of the top 5 running backs in the league in Joe Mixon, who, by the way, was averaging 4.8 yards per carry in the Super Bowl, was standing on the sideline. We know Joe Mixon is a 3-down back. He's just as dangerous as a receiver out of the backfield as he is you turned around handing the ball to him. Why is Samaje Perine in the game? That whole last drive for the Rams, they went exclusively to Cooper Kupp, because it's money time, it's go time. That's when you go to your elite playmakers. I just really didn't understand that. I felt like Joe could have fell forward and got us, that yard, if not more, because of the athlete that he is. I heard Zach's explanation after the game, and I, you know, I, it's still not going to suffice for me. I mean, it's not going to change the outcome, anyway. I know he alluded to, well, Perine has been the 2-minute, back, the entire game, yada, yada, yada. Even the running back coach asked him, he said, you want to make a switch? Common sense has to prevail, and that's when I think sometimes Zach maybe tries to outthink himself, or he's too much of an analytics guy instead of just going with the flow of the game and understanding. So that stood out to me, as the fact that we just could not give Joe more than a second or a second and a half to scan the field to put this game out of reach. The last play, everybody's seen the image from it. The very last play, if he's got more than one second more than he was afforded, Uno streaking down the sideline. Jalen Ramsey fell again, and we still walk out Super Bowl champs. But Joe was staring down a defender in his face sometimes before he even secured the snap. That's not going to win you a world championship, but it's a testament to how good these guys already are and how good Joe is, that if we just square that away, the rest of the league could be in trouble.
Yep, I agree with everything you said. There's a couple things obviously I would like to have back, and I'm gonna say this too. Um, and there's nobody. We love us some Joe Burrow. But if you ask me, if you and you ask him, I should say, if you graded his performance in the Super Bowl, he'll probably give you a C plus, B minus. I'm gonna tell you why. He missed a few. He missed a few. Like we got to grade. We got to grade Joe Burrow on. We can't sit up here and call him elite and then grade him on a different scale. We got to give him top five scale. Now it's 4th and 1 after the P Ryan handoff in the first quarter, first drive. He stared down Uno, misread the coverage. He had T Higgins wide open. Would have been the first down. Kept moving that chain. Probably would have scored that drive because the
Okay.
script was looking good. I would say we would have got three at least. And then I look. Um, I also look at 3rd and 1 on the next drive. Chris Evans wide open. We overstriking. That's a money play. Those are plays that Joe Burrow normally makes and normally completes, and he missed them. He missed them. Like those are two early things in the game where you can at least get three off of and change the momentum. Now, in testament on that 4th and 1 on the first drive, and I was with my guy. It was all of us sitting around. They asked me as soon as that third down carried the P round. They said, "Are you going for it here?" I said, "Hell no." I said, "Not right here." And y'all know on this show, if you watch Life in the Jungle, I'm always aggressive. I'm saying go for it on 4th down. You can't win with punts. I'm always like that. But in a Super Bowl, the moment is huge. It's the biggest moment of all sports to me in my eyes. Super Bowl, everybody's watching. And early on, normally, both teams are kind of skittish. You're trying to feel your way, you jab it a
Mhm.
little bit. It's like the first two rounds of a heavyweight fight, you jab, jab, okay, maybe throw it right, really not trying to land it. You're just trying to get the feel, trying to get the length. But we was ultra aggressive there, and we hadn't settled down. Neither team has settled down at that point.
But
I
see,
think I would have loved to. I wouldn't have went for it there. I would have punted it, buried them. You know what I mean, and make them work to get up the field.
the reason I still don't have an issue with that is because I think what happens a lot of times in Super Bowls and big games like that, Super Bowl is a game that's not like any other game. It takes on a life of its own, for various reasons. But I think
Yeah.
what happens if you look historically at a lot of Super Bowls, the team that's able to stick to what they do best
Mhm.
usually comes out on top. The team that comes in there, sort of like the Rams did in their last Super Bowl appearance, when Sean McVay was talking about information overload, where they start thinking too much and start trying to reinvent the wheel, usually does not get those jitters out of the way early that you were talking about, and they create a hole for themselves, and sometimes they're not able to come back. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with the play selection and the personnel on the field when making those play calls, because you mentioned Joe missing Chris Evans on that one, but I know there was also another 4th down where we did convert the swing pass to him out of the backfield, which is another point that I wanted to make. Pretty much every time we've called on Chris Evans this year, whether it is out of the backfield or on special teams returning kicks, he delivered. I really think he's made a case for why he should probably be RB 2 coming into next year. I think he should be backing Joe Mixon up, maybe sprinkle some Travion Williams in there, maybe look to add another back through the draft or possibly free agency. But um, it's not as much the being aggressive as it is make sure you have your best playmakers on the field to convert these, no matter where you are on the field. Please do that, because what difference does it make if you're not going to have the best guys out on the field to make the play?
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. I agree with you on the P run situation, especially if you knew you was gonna run the ball in that situation. Okay, if he your 2 minute guy, you want him to protect, that's fine. But if you was gonna run the ball, you gotta throw Mixon in there.
Joe
That's just
Mixon was gashing the Rams.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But this was a good point too, and I'll get to the comments too. I'm sorry I haven't got to them. There's a lot to discuss. My boy, Colin DB says, Joe missed that third down throw to the numbers short to Chase too. Another one, a big third down where Chase was on the comeback with a call for a third down. He ground balled it. That's a big, in the fourth quarter. You got to think
That one,
we
yeah,
kind of pulled a Chiefs. You know what I mean?
That one was a big one, but there's also scenarios where, I mean, just playing devil's advocate here, where he hits Tyler Boyd right in the hands, the guy who I love, Tyler Boyd. That's still
I
my favorite
know
wide
he's so
receiver.
reliable
Yeah,
too.
Tyler Boyd is still my favorite wide receiver, even with me rocking this Uno jersey. And he drops his first pass all year. So I mean, there was enough blame to go around. That's why I
Oh, of
can't
course.
really look at Joe and say, I mean, was
No,
it
I'm
his?
not putting it. I'm not blaming Joe. I'm just saying
I
I'm
know you're
grading.
not. I'm just saying, like, I can't even look at it and say, well, Joe wasn't sharp. I'm like, yeah, well, we didn't convert in a lot of scenarios, and all of it wasn't Joe. All of it wasn't Samaje P. Ryan. All of it wasn't the offensive line. The team that I think, or unit that I think, still deserves a game ball, even though we're jumping ahead a little bit, is the defense. I thought the defense played tremendous throughout
Mhm.
Super Bowl 56 and put us in position to win that ball game multiple times.
Yep, I agree. I agree with you 100%. Let's hit these comments here. Kenny Fudge been a watcher all year, man. We appreciate you. Great season. Congrats to the Rams, but Cincinnati has nothing to be ashamed of. Who they? No, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. And let me preface by saying, remember, last at the end of the last show, I said, win or lose, me personally, will always remember the 2021-2022 Cincinnati Bengals. They have
We both
given
said
me
that. Yeah.
far, we both, yeah, absolutely. They've given me far as being a sports fan and and being, y'all know me, I'm Cincinnati everything when it comes to sports. Uh, that man, this was one of the best feelings I've had, as far as watching the team, watching my favorite team from Cincinnati do their thing. So like I said, hats off
Unmatched.
to you. Wish we could have brought that big thing home, but hey,
Yeah, unmatched by anything that I've experienced. I mean, I'm like you, in other sports, I may have favorite teams outside of the Cincinnati area, but as far as this one, it was personal. You know what I mean? When you're a
mhm,
Bengals fan and you're a Bengals fan your entire life, like we both have been, man, it's personal to a level. Like I said, I can't explain to people. I tried, and even me being the writer that I am and everything, like the feeling that I had when Jermaine Pratt caught that interception against the Raiders in the wild card round, like
right.
it's still, and I have most of it on tape, and the immediate reaction and the fireworks going off. Like, I'll never forget that feeling for the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah, I would never forget that feeling either. The fact, like we both was in attendance, it was something that definitely I will always remember for sure. Jay Coop in the building. He said going for it on 4th and 1 wasn't smart. Well, we kind of discussed that. Both made good points. Um, I understand not changing what you do. You just got to be careful in games like that. Not necessarily play scared, but when it's that early in the game, I'm just not sure that you need to take that big of a risk
My,
that
my
early.
thing is, when did 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1, and it's league wide, so it's not like it's just the Bengals, but when and why did those become passing downs? And then, as I said, if you are going to run it, you at least need to have your best running back or option, on the field. So 4th and 1s are always, double-edged sword. It's brilliant when it works. It's a horrible call when it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, you can say that. You can say that. That's fair to say. James Summers says we lost. I'm hurting, but I'm confident we'll be back in the big dance sooner than people think. Who they all day. I would love to, feel like we're gonna be back. I do feel like we will be back. When I can't tell you because it's hard. Like Bengals fans that's watching, it's hard,
Now, who was your
as you
boy?
know.
Who was your boy? Sorry, cut you off. Who was your boy that we were talking on the phone afterwards? And I think you were taking him home or dropping him off at home. He made me feel more optimistic because he was down. The guy that said, "Man, you know what the odds are for making it back?" And I was like, I started to think about it, and I had to do some research. And I said, yeah, I mean, it's not in the Bengals' favor, but it's not in any team's favor. But on the flip side, I don't know that I've ever seen a team with this many weapons and the age bracket that we're at bring this much to the table. And again, we got that guy Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's
So
different.
I'm telling you,
He's
look,
different.
we're going to be around now. Yes, there's things like injuries and so forth that you can't, you know, factor in or know how they're going to impact you going forward. There's no way to prepare for that. But the Bengals have nothing to hold their head. Like our one comment said, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll see what happens.
Yep, yep, yep. I agree with that. We have comment here from Zolly Williams saying, even with P Ryan in, why not throw a wide receiver screen, put the ball in the playmaker hand? I mean, yeah, you would like to see that. But like Pharaoh said there, when does it become a passing down? Especially it looks like where the ball was supposed 4th and 1, it was less than one. Uh, you would like to see if you. I understand Joe had his sprained MCL at that point. They didn't know the status of his knee, so a quarterback sneak probably wasn't the best option there. Um, but I mean, you paid Joe Mixon. He making 12 million a year. That's the time. You ran it was 3rd and 2, 4th and 1. You gotta, give it to him. You gotta give him a chance to get the first down, and then
Averaging close to 5 yards a carry. And I don't know which possession we're referring to, but to start off the last drive, we did throw a screen to Jamar Chase to start that drive, and he got I believe it was 19-yard gain when they were trying to mount that last final touchdown drive. And Jalen Ramsey, even on that play, was just a smidget away from turning that into, a bad, scenario. So I understand Zach maybe not wanting to go to the, well too many times, depending on which scenario we're referencing. But again, I just believe in having my best players on the field in crucial moments, and there's no more crucial moment than the Super Bowl. So I can't get with whatever explanations being offered up as to why Samaje P Ryan was in the game. I will never let that go. I'm just being honest because I think that's doing yourself a disservice.
yeah, I agree with that there. Um, I think also it's underrated free agents. We got to bring back B.J. Hill and Ogunjobi. Now I do feel like only
Maybe.
one is coming back. Now that Ogunjobi is coming off injury, you would probably think they would try to get B.J. Hill locked up. Um, I would like them both. Maybe you can get Ogunjobi, for a similar price, since has had that injury, and maybe you do bring them both back. It's the money. It's a chance for both. Um, it is money to spend, which leads to kind of the comment here. The future is bright for this team. I think the Brown family knows it. They're excited off season. This was the first time I've ever heard Mike Brown really be aggressive and say that, "Oh, we gonna give Joe some help. We gonna give this person some help." I like let's be honest. We ain't never heard Mike come out and say this, but he pretty much he said, "Look, we're gonna help Joe Burrow in this offseason." And I think Mikey finally got a taste of what it's like when you spend a little dough, you get it back because we love the Bengals. This city loved the Cincinnati Bengals.
I wanted
And
to ask you about that though. First of
mhm,
all, Mr. Brown in the shall we call it, post game or postseason, rally when they came back. What was that Washington Park or wherever
yeah,
that was held at? He was out there with Mayor Aftab and I believe Governor DeWine was there too. Governor of
mhm,
Ohio was there, and you can see Mr. Brown on stage. He's not one that really likes being in the spotlight, to begin with. But I think, as you mentioned, he was kind of warming up to the reception and Bengaldom going, so crazy that it probably did feel good to be on the other end of that spectrum with positivity instead of negativity.
yeah.
He's
It
like,
struck a
he's
it
like, I
struck
can
a
dig
little
this.
something in Mike.
Yeah, he's like, I can dig this, but I mean, what choice do you have? Because I'm sure all of Who Dey Nation, was oh my goodness, when Joe Burrow was on the ground grabbing his other knee, this time writhing in pain, And I know I was just sitting there shocked with my mouth open, but it's something that has to be done at this point. But the other point I wanted to make, so you got like lifers, diehard Bengal fans here the whole time, ain't going nowhere. Go back to the David Klingler era. It is what it is.
Yeah,
I'm
I
I'm,
remember that.
I'm a Bungles fan and a Bengals fan. Don't matter to me.
Right.
How do you feel about the new Johnny Come Lately Bengals fans? I mean, because look, they're out there. Let's be
They
honest.
are. They
And I
are.
didn't say nothing during the Super Bowl because I wanted as much positive energy. And look, you want to get on the bandwagon? Let's go. I had people hitting me up from around the country, different states. Like, I'm a Bengals fan right now. I'm like, all right, let's go. But how do you feel? Seeing these Johnny Come Lately, Bengals fans that and I'm sure it's the same way with you. People I know personally that swore the Bengals off years ago that are on social media
They're coming
dressed
back now.
in Bengal gear and I'm all this or who they. How does that make you feel, brother? Yeah.
Look, what's crazy is I thought I would hate it, but I don't even care, man. Like I thought, I really, I did. I'm like, man, we done been through the real fans been through the trenches. Done sat up
Mm-hmm.
here and watched game after game, no matter if we was 2-14, 4-12, uh, whatever what we were. But I, to get to see the love, amongst the city from for the most part, and really kind of throughout the nation, man, it just kind of, it was just kind of cool to see. Like for once, it was like Bengals was kind of America's team for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And
Except for some of them national pundits and media people that I wanted that
I
to
know, yep, yep, to shut them up for good. Like you can't say nothing. But it I don't mind it because you know what, we've been down in the dumps so long, and people have been hating on us for so long. We've been just kind of like the doormat. So it feel good to have us. Yeah, give us some bandwagon fans. Give us some fan. Give us some. Oh, well, we like the big. Well, I don't really like the big. I like go Joe Burrow. See, but Chase my favorite player, so I gotta rock with the big. That's how it's gonna be. Like you know what I mean. You know how some LeBron fans are, not to switch sports, but it's like I don't really like the Lakers, but I got to root for LeBron play for. You know what I mean?
well,
Those
you
kind
know how us Lakers fans feel about that though,
of
because
exactly,
there are
but
Laker fans and there are LeBron fans. It's two different things. But no, I get what you're saying because the whole thing was surreal anyway. Even
yeah,
talking about the Bengals this late into the season and being in it, you're so used to thinking about other teams and Super
where
Bowl
we picking
parties.
at? Who we picking in the top 10?
Yeah, Super Bowl parties that don't, involve the Bengals at all or anything like that. But to wear a Bengals jersey, I mean, I've wore Bengal jerseys to Super Bowl celebrations before, but to wear one and my team is actually out there.
Right, we run out of there with the smoke. Like, yeah, it's us, man.
Oh man. But I am mad at you though, Cam. Not because you ended up in Facebook jail for a week, delaying this season finale, but you switched up. You said we were staying the same. Everybody was doing the same thing, superstition wise, for the Super Bowl, and you switched up, man.
I did,
You
cause
put some bad eyes you out there, man.
the thing was, it's like I wanted to sell. I felt like we was gonna win, regard. I just felt like I wanted to celebrate with my bros. Like we all Bengals. We went out to Vegas, for the Bengals. Like we was like, man, we all gotta watch this together. Like you know what I mean? We gotta watch this Super Bowl championship together. And until Tyler Boyd dropped that pass, I thought we was. But when Tyler
Oh
Boyd
man, I
dropped that
was
pass, I
already
said,
planning.
"See, stuff that ain't happened all year happening. Like this
Yeah,
ain't a good feeling right now."
you know what, man? I was already planning like what I was gonna say on my live stream. After the game, what I was gonna do at the
I was gonna go
parade.
live, turn
When,
up.
when me and brother Cam was down there at the parade together, like all of that. I'd already told my boss I wouldn't be there whatever day the parade was there. I mean, it was
Right.
already established. you,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Make it so.
um, and then it was gone. And that was the hard part. Like when I watched that ball that Joe Burrow tried to flip to Samaje Perine, which
He ain't even dive at it. I'ma
he
say it.
just he
This
just was
is this
not.
is
He's
sports.
never in position to make an athletic play. Even the screen pass that he caught against Kansas City was wide open, and he didn't get touched to the half inch line. And again, I'm not trying to single Samaje P right now. I'm just telling the truth that he just seems like a day late and a dollar short all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's fourth and the Super Bowl on the line. Even if you can't get it, you dive and make sure it look like
Yeah,
you
you
gave
make it look
every piece
good.
of effort that you had. Cause
Yeah,
I'm looking like, couldn't he have dove for that?
there's
I'm
that
like,
that
just
fake hustle that you talk about sometimes with another sport. At least give me that.
okay. I got a comment. Well, quick comment here from AI LeBron. He been definitely a loyal watcher of the show as well. He said he's ranking. He's seen all three. And he still, from here, it looks like from his ranking that Super Bowl 23 is still the worst Super Bowl loss he's ever experienced, with 16, Super Bowl 16 next, and then this season. Obviously, you've seen all three, so you can kind of. I'm quite sure Super Bowl 23 hurt because you were interception away, you catch the end of game over, you kneel it out, you win the game. Um, but this one hurts on many levels for us, our generation. um, like I said, I know how hard it is to get back. Just because it took us our whole lives to see one. Um, it's just you look at all time great quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. You win one early in your career, you think he's gonna win three or four. He
And
never gets
Matthew
back.
Stafford, not to take anything away from him, in a
He threw
way,
two picks. He almost gave us the game.
I wish it wasn't against my Bengals, but there is part of me being a football guy and then former player myself and fan. Where I look at what he went through in Detroit and I'm like, all right, bro, somebody had to get one. Him, Andrew Whitworth on that other side. I can dig it, but um, seriously, he's not Joe Montana. So if you get to ranking the Super Bowl losses, I don't know what the Bengals were as far as odds or favorites, underdogs going into those games. But from everybody that I talked to from my dad's generation, it was clearly alive and remembers that Super Bowl. Everybody thought that Joe Montana was going to pull that out somehow, some way. Now, yes, if Lewis Billis catches that interception, in '88, then we're talking a different tune, different story. But at the end of the day, the Niners were the ones that were chasing history and team in the '80s and winning their third title that decade. So I can't speak because AL LeBron is coming from a different perspective. I was 2 years old in in '88, but this one hurt because it's so recent. The 31-year gap from winning a playoff game, 33-year gap from reaching the Super Bowl, and it was right there. And like I said, there was no Joe Montana. If anything, the Rams had Hall of Famers to me on their defense that stood out maybe more so than offensively.
Hmm.
So, it's just a missed opportunity because we'd be talking about the Bengals and the start of their dynasty right now had we
Hmm.
held on in this one.
Yep, yep. You're talking about possible dynasty and a team, that has tons of room to get better with a Super Bowl ring under their belt and got the money to do so, man, that you talk about something that could have been scary. So as you said, it's a missed opportunity, and that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking in my head like, 20 to 13. Oh, we we in a good position. I'm thinking we get one more touchdown. I would need to go. I said, give me two field goals.
No, I wanted the touchdown. And that's why you saw Joe jump up and down after that interception. We took it down there and had to settle for the field goal. Joe Shiesty doesn't show much emotion on the field. But you know, just like I do, why he was jumping up and down because even he knew what 7 points would have did in that scenario.
Yep, and I think it was kind of a key third down, something messed up, and he kind of smacked his hands together, like I was like, yeah, I know, Joe, because he don't show emotion like that, but he knew you go up big here. Matthew Stafford start throwing them YOLO balls that he already thought he start throwing more
It
of
was
them.
the momentum swing, and we talked about that. You know, last time we were on that Matthew Stafford was going to give you a couple, and
He
then when
gonna
he
get
starts, pressing because he's behind, it changes the whole dynamic of the game.
Yep, yep, yep. Corey Brooker says, haven't been a huge fan of Wilson all year, but dude showed up in the big game. My guy Von Bell had a rough one. Prince was surprisingly serviceable too in that game. Probably best of the linemen. No, Corey Brooker, I'm sorry. That whole line was awful. Okay, including Isaiah Prince. Um, from I got the best player on that line that was even serviceable in that football game was Trey Hopkins.
He said Von Bell had a rough game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say rough, but you know, it wasn't the best of games for Vaughn. But no, Isaiah Prince was not serviceable. I'm sorry. That whole right side was awful. It was awful, and I'm not coming up here to blast anybody. No, no. But I don't. I'm sorry.
Well, where's the
Number
adjustment
let's
at?
put it this way.
Because
Number 77 can't start on my offensive line next year.
identity. But look, listen,
Yes.
listen.
You said his
Where's the
name, not me.
adjustment at? I'm glad you brought that up, though. Where's the adjustment at? Because see, the first half we were able to contain, Aaron Donald, the Thing. Tell me he don't look like clobbering time from Fantastic Four. But but anyway, we were able to contain him because Trey Hopkins was coming out and chipping him in the first half. That was the Bengals game plan coming into the game, right? Because we saw that. Like Trey Hopkins would slide off and he would get a chip on Aaron Donald, effectively almost double teaming him without tipping your hand before the snap, right?
Mhm.
Second half, the Rams realized that. So what they did was they said, well, we're going to overload one side. You know what side they were going to pick. And we're going to make it to the point where you have to do one-on-one matchups because we know Aaron Donald will win that. We didn't adjust to that the whole second half, and that's why Joe didn't have any time to throw the football. And that's where again you start to ask where were there more wide receiver screens or why weren't there more wide receiver screens or screens to the running back out of the backfield, more Chris Evans swing passes, do a wheel route. Look, if they're sending everybody, they don't have a whole lot of people back there to cover wheel route out of the backfield, something quick like that where Joe can just go over the top, seam route, something like that, or a screen pass to Joe Mixon in the backfield. There were a lot of missed opportunities in those scenarios that we're speaking of. So you're right. I can't because the second half, that's what it literally came down to is the Bengals' inability to give Joe Burrow time to do anything.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it right now, like I said, it's not the Bible. It's not the Bible.
Oh,
But I'm
here we
looking at
go.
Isaiah.
Here we go.
Yep,
He's
I'm
going
looking
to
at Isaiah
PF up.
Prince PFF grade. A 36 in the postseason. We can't have that as a starting right tackle. Now I understand he's a backup, and if Riley Reef was out there, they'll probably look a little better. I understand.
Okay. And there's another one I have to go into, and thank you because you reminded me. There's another guy. And I don't want to hear no mess about what school he went to, and that's why I'm bringing it up because it don't have nothing to do with that. Eli Apple. We talked about Isaiah Prince not being a starter. It really wasn't supposed to be out there. I know you and I have spoken both on and off the air about the fact that Eli Apple was not brought here to be a starter. If Bengals fans want to be mad at anybody, you should be mad at Trey Waynes for signing that 3-year, $45 million deal, which we've gotten absolutely nothing from him, but some spot duty on special teams this season from that. Now, Eli Apple, does he give you a couple head scratches a game? And when he gets beat, is it bad? Yeah. But I do want to say this. I think that the former number 10 overall pick of the 2015 draft has earned a spot in the NFL. I think he's earned a spot on the Bengals roster. Now he will probably be my number 4 corner, coming in on dime and obvious passing situation, something like that. He certainly wouldn't be my starting corner on the other side of Awuzie next year. But for everybody that comes down on Eli Apple and makes him the scapegoat, remember McVay moved Cooper Kupp around on purpose. Those matchups, getting Kupp on a linebacker, getting Kupp on an Eli Apple, that was done intentionally. The adjustment
Hmm.
was not made on the Bengals side. And you have to remember, Eli Apple was still that same player that stuck his hand in there and got that deflection against Tennessee that Logan Wilson came down with to get the what ended up being the game sealing interception for us to go down and kick the game winning field goal. Eli Apple made the most important open field tackle of the year, tackling the cheetah for the Kansas City Chiefs and Tyreek Hill in the open field. So the Chiefs did not score a touchdown or get a field goal at the end of the first half in the AFC Championship game. So put a little bit more respect on Eli Apple's, name. Yes, I'm with you. He's had some bonehead moments, but for what he was supposed to do versus what he came in and gave us this year, the guy did make some incredible plays also.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't want when people like um, Eli Apple lost us the game and all that. You'll be surprised. I was actually taking up for Eli Apple, saying like, look, Eli, you gonna get the good and the bad with Eli. That's what my mom said. That's what my mom. This comes from my
The
mom.
gift and the
You gonna get
curse.
the good with the bad. He may get scored sometime, then he gonna turn around and make a play. It's just like early in the game, he gave up a touchdown to Tyreek Hill in the AFC Championship game. He come back and make a stop at the 1 yard line. You just gotta take the good with the bad. Like with Eli, I didn't think he played horrible. He just one drive with the money on the line. You know, it looks bad. It looks bad when you give up 3, 4 catches on the drive and a TD.
Well, I
That's
thought
just
your Bengals actually made a stop or were one play away from making a stop. I don't know if we want to get into that yet or what.
that was the next thing I wanted to touch on. There was two things I wanted to touch on before we talk about the offseason. One is definitely that bogus, trash, rigged call Roger Goodell called down on the hole on Logan Wilson. That was terrible. Okay, they didn't
The
lose us the game,
worst call I've ever seen in Super Bowl history.
but my thing is this: you don't just let them play for 58 minutes and then you throw 4 flags in
The
45
final
seconds.
2 minutes, yeah.
So my thing is this, and everybody say, "Oh, T Higgins got away." You see what T Higgins did? I said, "Bingo, you made my point." No, no, listen, listen, listen. But I'm like, "Bingo, you made my point for me." They clearly said they was gonna let him play if you let that T Higgins thing go. So why turn around and call something as ticky tack as that hole, which wasn't a hole?
And by the way, you have to not saying that it wasn't possibly offensive, interference, but in the course of that game, as you said, the way they were officiating that game, that one does not look as egregious in real time as it did slowing it down in the megapixels on the replay. Yeah, it looked bad on replay, but even the referee's explanation on why they did not call T. Higgins for that after the game, I understood what they were saying. Like they didn't feel like with the jostling that was going on, it affected the play. When you slow it down and you stop the camera and you see that millisecond that his hand was on Jalen Ramsey's face mask, yeah, it looks a lot worse than it really was because it was really one of those Olay, Matador type moves where yes, his hand did make contact with his face mask, but it was really quick. And again, so even if you do feel like that one was one that they got away with, and had we won, I know Rams fans would be crying bloody murder about that. There is not, or there's not supposed to be, or at least they tell you that there's no such thing as makeup calls in officiating. That's what they tell you. Now, I, had the pleasure of talking to a lot of people about it once I was able to, and I was calm enough to do so. And, family friend of mine, my dad's friend, Ronnie Dixon, who played defensive tackle at UC in the early 90s and played defensive tackle in the NFL for 6 seasons. I asked him. I said, "Big dog." I said, and this was just the other day because, like I said, I'm just now getting to the point where I can talk about this stuff. He's not necessarily a Bengals fan. Now he's lived here ever since he quit playing ball and came back because he liked his college experience. But he said, "I said, Big dog. I said, you are a former NFL defensive player. I said, tell me that was pass interference. I said, all trolling or defensive holding." He said, "No, that wasn't a penalty, dog."
No, it wasn't.
I've seen defensive backs not play a receiver as well as Logan
I
Wilson
mean,
did in
Twitter
that instance.
erupted. I mean, Twitter. Keenan Allen, Ryan Jensen, Devondre Campbell. I'm talking about NFL players. It's like you don't call that. Like this is how the Super Bowl be won. Like wow, like this is
You
crazy.
just handed them the world championship.
So, cause my thing is this: fourth and goal from the 7 or 8. Give
Oh,
me
we're
my
getting a
defense.
stop. We're getting a
Give me my
stop.
defense. Every rip.
The
You know
way
we
the
getting a
defense had
stop.
played all postseason in the red zone, we're
You
getting a
know
stop
we
right
getting that
there.
stop. That's the thing. You know we getting that stop. So yeah, it was disappointing. To get to some of these comments here, and I commented on it as well. Someone said, "Do you think Rob Gronkowski will sign with the Bengals?" No, I don't think that'll happen. It's cool to be talked about that way. But yeah, that's just not going to happen. I think they'll try to retain CJ Uzama, big part of the locker room, big part of the culture. They done built there thus far, and he's a solid tight end as well. So I don't see no reason why they would want to move on from
I think we need to get CJ Uzama some help and another receiving option at tight end. But yeah,
yeah,
it won't be Gronk.
right, right. Question said, is Matthew Stafford a top 10 QB? We was talking about Matt Stafford earlier. In the game right now, yeah, he is. He
Yeah.
probably fall around 7, 6 or 7. uh 8 maybe, but yeah, Matthew Stafford's a top 10 quarterback in the league, for sure. That I'll give him kudos. He and people anoint Mahomes as the no look king, but Stafford been throwing these no look balls for a while now, and he threw one dime on that final drive. Uh, I ain't gonna lie, it was pretty.
It
It run the
was.
mark, move Von Bell out of the window. It was pretty, and I can't lie. So that what is what it is. But Matthew Stafford is a solid quarterback for sure. Let's see here. We got Corey Booker said them refs were bad, but I still say if we don't cover Cooper Cup with Pratt and Wilson the entire last drive, that call never happens. Dude was their literally only playmaker on the field. Yeah, I would have let Van Jefferson beat me, uh, which he was struggling. The other receivers were struggling. The offense overall for the Rams was struggling. And but
But
they
you
drew something
know,
up. They saw something.
this is where that old school football logic and acumen that you always tease me about comes in. I'm a cause and effect guy. Even with that said, yeah, there might be some credence to that, but we had multiple opportunities to put that game away where that scenario doesn't even surface.
Oh
Should
yeah,
shouldn't
absolutely,
come
absolutely.
down
No,
to
I
that.
agree with that. I agree with that. My boy Wayne Fowler says still who they. You already know it's still who they. We got the free agency coming up. Within the next few weeks. So we decided to see who we can add and see how we get better. And speaking of free agency, that's coming up. We gotta look at the next year. Definitely tough. To bounce back, especially that next following year once you lose. Um, but we have the capability. We got the youth, we got the cap space, we got draft, we got everything we need lined up to make another run at this. Now I know where you're going, but I still gotta ask. I know you want to shore up that offensive line, so I'm gonna
Oh
let you go
boy.
ahead and talk about that offensive line.
Okay.
Uh, I'm gonna let you go off because
Okay.
you've been waiting on this moment.
I have a serious problem with a portion of Who Dey Nation. I'm gonna start my ire with WKRC Channel 12, the Bengals flagship local network here, a local TV station. They've already come out with an article which is entitled Reason why the Bengals should not pick an offensive lineman with their first round pick. What the hell are you talking about? And why? Why? Don't start this crap. You listen to Who They Nation, they're going to go out and draft another receiver or running back and say, well, if we just keep giving Joe weapons, then it won't matter if he doesn't have a half a second to throw the football. Just get him another person to throw the ball to. Who cares that he was writhing on the field in pain again, almost blew out the other knee. Just get him another weapon. That's how you do it in the NFL. It's like, are you kidding me? Joe Burrow is so great that he overcame the lackluster offensive line play, but almost got killed in the process. Now everybody loves this guy. He's different. He's Joey Franchise. He's Joe Burr. He's Joe Shiesty. He's everything we call this dude. But y'all still don't want to go get him some offensive line play. You're not going to be happy till he's getting wheeled off the field and he's up at the podium either asking for a trade or retiring early like Andrew Luck. Stop this nonsense. Get Joe Burrow some help.
Yeah, we gonna get him some help. Okay, this is my thing about the attacking. What needs attacking free agency. I want the Bengals to get veteran linemen. I want them to get guys that's been there and done that before. I don't want guys, we picking these first rounders, second rounders, whatever round they are, and we're just continuously whiffing. We're whiffing. However you slice it, listen, we're whiffing in the draft. I'm not saying don't attack it.
Did we
I'm
whiff
saying
on
spend
Andrew?
money on it.
Did we whiff on Andrew Whitworth? Did we whiff on Anthony Munoz? Did we
That's
whiff on Willie Anderson?
Munoz, man. It's the '80s. I'm
Did
talking
did
now.
we whiff on Willie Anderson? So that means never drafted offensive lineman in the first
I
round
know.
again
I never said don't
because of
draft one.
Abwegi, Jake
Never said
Fisher, and Billy Price, right?
whiff.
So because of
All
them,
first
never
rounders.
address it in the draft again. Never start to anchor your offensive line again
Never
because you
said
whiffed
that.
on those
Never
picks.
said that. I'm saying go out and get veteran player. I'm saying go out and get a Brandon Sheriff, a Ryan Jensen, a Teron Armstead. Trade for maybe a Laramie Tunsil. Go get a
Now you
Connor
traded for
Williams.
Laramie Tunsil. I'll say you can do whatever you want with that first round pick.
But that's what I'm saying. Far as being a good, like you want to fix the line, fix the line. Like don't give me these picks where they're not pan. That right now they're not panning out. We're
Can you
whiffing on
have to?
every
But
lineman.
at a certain point, you have to do that. You're not. We're not the Los Angeles Lakers. You're not going to be able to just plug free agency in every time and think that that's going to
Why
keep
not? We got Joe
you
Burrow. We're gonna bring him here.
Cam. So never draft an offensive lineman
I
with a first
never
or second
said
round pick.
not draft the offensive lineman. I'm just saying we whiff. Think okay. Chiefs had problems on the offensive line, right?
Look, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't want to hear about whiffs under the Marvin Lewis regime. Okay, so stop talking about Jake Fisher. Stop
Okay.
talking about Cedric Abwegi.
I give you that. That's
Stop
fair.
talking
That's
about
fair.
Billy Price.
All right, okay, that's fair. He's a Marvin error. However, look at the Chiefs, right? They struggled on the offensive line last year, right?
Right.
They went out and they bought some pieces, and then they drafted Creed Humphrey, who was probably almost like one of the
He had a
best centers
good
in the league.
year.
What round was he though? What round was he?
He
Third.
was second, wasn't he?
Third.
Okay.
That's my point. Like
But
if
was he
if
rated
it's a
as a
first
third round
round,
prospect? He slid.
but my thing is this, man. At 31, I don't want to reach for a lineman that's maybe a second round talent, third round talent that you're
You,
reaching at
you need to
31.
do
Give
both,
me the best
Cam. You
player
need to
available.
address it through the draft and free agency.
Look,
It's
my
that
thing is
bad.
this. I
It's that
know how to look.
bad.
We've watched the Bengals for years.
Okay.
And as much as you want to say, that, we're going to splurge, we're not going to splurge on this old line probably. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying it's not the right thing, but I'll say we'll go out. First of all, Deontay Smith or Jackson Carmen, one of them is playing next year in the starting lineup.
Possibly, but you know what? There are
Because you have
still
a
guys
second
out
round
there.
talent or your picks cannot just sit.
There are still guys out there like a 26-year-old Austin Corbett.
Yes, right guard. He needs to be snagged.
Yes, who
Buy him.
we need ASAP.
Yes.
Coming off his time with the Rams last year, he played a few years in Cleveland, so he's used to this division. He understands what it's like to play in the AFC North. Will probably come at an affordable price as far as free agents, but a very good pick with a lot of upside. Young guy. There's a lot of guys out there, and I'm with you. So because you have a win now opportunity, and these windows don't last long in the NFL. I don't care how
That's
talented
my
your quarterback
point.
is.
That's my
So yes, you
point.
do need some guys. There's Andrew Noel out there that I've mentioned, already. Yes, he's age 30, but he's been one of the higher paid, higher performing guards in the league, over the past 5 or 6 seasons that you can get local product out of Anderson, high school. There are guys out there that you can bring in that are plug and play immediately. But I just can't understand and believe that you're sitting here saying that you're saying you're not saying it, but you're omitting it and still saying it. Like, okay, so because they whiffed on a few guys previously, it's like you can't draft an offensive lineman in the first
I'm
round
not
because you never
saying you
know
can't
if,
draft
if they're
one.
going to pan out. I'm like, but again, who's to say that they don't turn into a Rich Bram, as center, or a Levi Jones or Andrew Whitworth? And I know you're down on him, but Andre Smith was not a problem when he was here and healthy. It certainly was what we've been witnessing the past 4 or 5 years in offensive line play.
Right, right, absolutely. But my thing is get vets right now. Like you said, the window's tight. You know how it is before we've had to pay Burrow 300 million, whatever he gonna command. Like the window's tight, and we need right now guys. We can't afford to be trying to wait for somebody to
So if
develop.
there's
And
a
you talk about this coaching staff. Maybe it hasn't been first round, but every lineman they drafted has been. eh, this
that's
is
because
this
that's
coaching
because
this
they
staff
wait.
drafted
That's
Michael
because they
Jordan.
wait, with the exception of Jonah Williams. That's because they wait till y'all tell them to get somebody and they get a jag, just another guy, in these late picks that you hope is a surprise or somebody that overachieves instead of going out and getting a stud. Who's to say that you can't draft a center, or Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa doesn't turn into a Marquise Pouncey or a David
Oh, now if he's there
DeCastro
at
type?
31, you take him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All I'm saying is it gotta make sense. I don't want to reach for a guy, but say, "Oh, we thin on the line. Let me just reach for a guy," but and he's not supposed to be picked there. Like, cause my thing is this: get buy the offensive line, get Corbett, get another piece, and then you might have to roll with maybe like a Carmen or a Deontay Smith or something like that.
They
But
need to
buy
let
two,
Garmin play anyway.
right? But at least give me two guys from free agency, two starters on the line, and then with 31, we still got to make sure that defense. Now, let's not forget who aided us to that Super Bowl. This is that defense. We got to keep that defense tight. We faced AFC got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, still got Derrick Henry to stop with the Titans.
I
You
think
know,
they
so
can bring B.J. Hill and Ogunjobi back, even if they're on 1 year deals or 2 year, deals. Just maybe Ogunjobi on a 1 year deal since he's hurt. I don't know if he wants to play on back to back 1 year deals, like that. So you're right. There are other pieces to not neglect. But what I'm saying is, at a certain point, if you look at most championship teams, those teams that had those ragtag offensive line, or Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, where it was a bunch of castaways and late round picks and stuff, that stuff is one in a million. It's one in a million actually working and winning you a championship. And I think that was the best and worst thing that happened this year, is that Joe Burrow showed how great he is. and overcame a lot of that to where Bengals fans are still numb to their senses about drafting an offensive lineman or don't think
I'm
it's
not.
that important.
I'm not. I know the line important, but I want some veterans. I want some guys that's been there, done that.
I
I
want
don't
both. Make the investment.
see that. That's where you can't like look. Okay,
They're
what
coming
about
in with the fourth most cap room in the NFL, over $50 million. There's enough room to give Jesse Bates his money, which we have not talked about yet on
yeah?
here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We have to get, and then we'll probably end on that note, by the way. But
And address the offensive line and bring CJ Uzama back. I mean, we're in good position. Most of the core is coming back and is already under contract for multiple years. So they really honestly don't have a whole bunch of things that they need to do this offseason. It's very concentrated on what they need to do to build on this year. So
yeah,
it shouldn't be a complex offseason.
no, it really shouldn't. You have to. I feel like you got to cut Trey Waynes. I think that gives you 10 million more dollars. Uh, so in that case, you cut him, you get more money, and but uh, like I say, by the offensive line, the window's short. Whether you can go get some guys on a 1 year, 2 year deal, front load their contract, do what you got to do, bring them in, uh, protect Joe. But I would like for them to draft heavy on defense and kind of flip it because lately we spent money. The last 2 years we spent money in free agency on the defense, drafted the offense. Now we need to sign some veterans on this line in free agency and kind of sprinkle in some youth on defense. Like my question to you before we talk about Bates, 31. Kobe Bryant is there. Would you take him?
Is Tyler Linderbaum on the
Tyler
clock?
Linderbaum has been chosen. He's been selected. Now,
Ah,
Tyler, if
how did I
Tyler
know
Linder,
you were gonna,
listen, if Tyler
how did I
Linderbaum
know
there,
you
that's the
were
pick.
gonna
They need to
say
run
that?
to the podium and give them that card and say Tyler Linderbaum on it if he's there at 31. So let's just
How did I know you were gonna say that? Well, okay, and so
we need corners.
you paint me into a corner because you know I'm not as high on Kobe Bryant as I am the guy that played on the opposite side of the field as him.
Sauce going top 10.
I know that, and I love Sauce Gardner, and I think he's the best corner in the draft by far. So I'm not as big on Kobe Bryant because I don't know how much of that was just based off of him playing on the other side of the field from Sauce Gardner. Not trying to take anything away from him, but so I don't know because did William Jackson really live up to that hot streak that we had going of first round corners that panned out? You could make an argument Drake Kirkpatrick didn't either. And yes, that's going back, to the Marvin era. The whole Jonathan Joseph, Leon Hall just draft a corner, thing. It was working for a while,
It was.
you know.
We was rolling with corners for a
But
minute.
I don't because see that's another thing. Like coming into this year, we got Awuzie and we got Mike Hilton, and I don't even want to say that the Bengals were lucky. They obviously did their homework because those weren't marquee free agents across the league that people came into the offseason talking about. But you got plus that and then some as far as being marquee and starters. Hilton in the slot, Awuzie is your number one corner. Corners kind of scare me because you're either that guy or you're not. You're getting picked in the
Yeah,
top 10 or 15 like Sauce Gardner or what? Because, see, if you start talking about that late first round, second round, third round stuff, corners,
yeah.
elite corners get drafted high in the first round, period. So I don't know. I can't answer that for if he's there. I don't know. There's still a couple more offensive linemen that I actually like in this draft. The kid from Boston College. If I had time, I look up his name. That was killing it in the Senior Bowl as well. That I think might be the underrated one of the best guards in this year's draft. There's guys that if he's
I think
there,
it was Zion Johnson. Was it him?
there it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, now I will take Zion Johnson as well.
So, um, it's a what if game, but I'd be looking at Kobe Bryant if he's still there at 31. Can I give you that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, for me, 31, I want us to be after free agency. We picking 31. I want that to be a position in which we could be in a position to pick best player available.
Man, you give
Where
me Laramie Tunzel, I don't care what you do.
no, I just want to be in a bet. But I look at it like this: we can really go out and get a lineman and not break our draft capital bank. Let's not forget the 49ers got Trent Williams for a third and a fifth. Trent Williams. This is a Hall of Fame left tackle. Arguably, when it's said and done, will probably be one of the best left tackles to ever play the game up there behind Anthony Munoz. This is how
Yeah,
good Trent Williams
behind
is.
Anthony Munoz. I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah, I'm not gonna put nobody above Anthony.
that.
But I'm just saying, like that's how good Trent Williams is. He got traded for a third and a fifth. I mean, there's got
You
to
know,
be
quite
some
possibly the Bengals have the greatest left tackle in NFL history and the greatest right tackle in NFL history.
and our
Both
line
played here.
stinks right now. That's
It,
ironic.
it 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 does, but that's another point that I got. Both of them were top 10 picks though, also Cam. So you do have to start somewhere if you're going to get an anchor on your offensive line.
No, I
Whatever.
understand, but right now we need veterans. We can't even roll the dice. We need veterans right now that can go in there and protect Joe a little bit better. And you know,
See, I
uh
think AI LeBron is being funny with one of his comments because he said resign Bobby Hart. Uh,
yeah, nah, man. We
but
can't
that's my
resign false
that's
star
that's
Hart.
my point though. Is the fact that people forget about how atrocious the line has been pretty much since going back to the end of the 2016 season. And it's at what point are you going to invest? I've said that I think it needs to be a combination. He said, no, that's an article. Uh,
I
I
don't want to see it.
I think that needs to be a combination of what they do through the draft and free agency. I think the Bengals historically, if I had one thing to be critical about, is we've relied on one or both too much in certain off seasons, and usually it's the draft. But the past few years we've went heavy on free agency. So I'm saying combine both efforts and see what you get.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And let's see here. It says "Life in the Jungle" going to be a live on YouTube as well. Yes, we're yes. So everything is going to be um, basically we have a big facelift. Look for Life in the Jungle Instagram. Look for Life in the Jungle Twitter. Look for
Yeah,
Life
let's
in the
let's
Jungle.
let's before we end on the Jesse Bates thing, let's tackle that. So we were gonna say that for the end, but Life in the Jungle is gonna look much different next year. There are definite facelifts that we've already talked about, even midway through the season, and the only reason that we didn't is because we kept getting the following and support from people, and we didn't necessarily want to switch it up in the middle. But trust me, we already even before this episode talked about some of the facelifts. We're gonna have intros and drops. You're gonna see some episodes where me and Cam are actually in person together, possibly a studio time doing that. As well. We have a bunch of things planned for next year that you guys are really gonna like. We are actually going to attend games together instead of separately and tailgate. As long
Yeah,
as Cam, well, he'll be riding with me or I'll ride with him because he's bad at giving directions and stuff. But so it's gonna look totally different next year. So the answer to the question is yes, and I'm going to get Cam to also put Life in the Jungle on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, so you have more options other than just Spotify. So yes, we have a lot of things planned for next year, and even starting draft time. Life in the Jungle will look much different. Logo will be different, so just stay tuned.
yep, yep. I'm excited about the future of Life in the Jungle. That when we did this, obviously we just wanted to talk Bengals, but it turned into something a little bit much more than that. So we're gonna do the best we can to try to give you the best Bengal coverage, best Bengal podcast that we can give you. Um, last uh you know um last thing we want to touch on, Jesse Bates. Now,
Ah, you were wrong, Cam.
yes, you finally can get me. You finally can get me. So you go ahead. I'll let you
You
have
were
that one.
wrong.
Yes, I was wrong
All
about
year I told
JB3.
brother Cam, I said, man, this is not the same team without Jesse Bates. This is not the same defense without Jesse Bates. I said, tell me a more talented safety. Maybe you can mention Reggie Nelson for, a year and a half or something like that. But I said, man, we haven't had playmaking of this ability in the back end since David Fulcher. And that's just being real. I said Jesse Bates is one of the top 5 safeties in the league, even with some play in the middle of the season. But even brother Cam, Coach Cam, has to swallow his pride and admit that Jesse Bates not only deserves to be a Bengal long term, they pretty much, in my opinion, have to just if they franchise tag him, I'm going to be very sad. Not upset at the Bengals or anything. I'm going to be very sad because this is an opportunity to continue to turn that page and show that this is a different Bengals organization that has their heart set on one thing, and that's taking home a Lombardi trophy, taking care of Joe Burrow, and keeping guys here that need to be here to change the standard. And Jesse Bates was certainly a part of changing the standard and the culture with doing this. So I think he's more than deserved a long-term deal. He's got that C on his chest for a reason. He's a captain. Yeah, brother Cam was wrong.
Yes, I was absolutely wrong this postseason. I'm happy to be wrong. I've said it many times now. Look, I was happy to be wrong about this. But postseason he showed up. He showed up and showed why, big players make big time plays and key moments. And he did it time and time again throughout the postseason. You keep those guys around. You keep those guys around when the lights shine the brightest, they show up. And it sets a good you know, thing moving forward that, if you come to Cincinnati, you do your job, you stay healthy, you perform, you will get paid. You want to kind of keep, especially homegrown guys, you want to kind of keep that, um, that perspective, people have of you, especially players, so they know that you'll get taken care of if they do their job. So signing Jesse Bates has to be done. Now I'm not sure. You do have a. I would franchise tag him just because I would definitely try to get a deal work, but I don't want him to hit the open market at all. So if that's gonna happen, you still want to franchise tag him and try to get a deal done, because you don't want him to hit the open market at all, where anybody could throw any type of money at him, and then you know
Somebody's gonna pay Jesse Bates this offseason. It might as well be the Cincinnati Bengals.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like I said, I'm happy to be wrong about that. He turned up at the right time, and yeah, you absolutely right. Somebody gonna pay him, and I'd rather for it to be us. But there's one thing I want to talk about before we leave, and it's a hidden play through or a hidden situation or moment in the Super Bowl. What the hell was Vernon Hargraves doing running on the field in
I
his
don't know
flip
that I
flops,
should allow you to
not
talk about
active?
this. I don't know that I should allow you to talk about this because we have to let our fans and followers know that the reason why this wrap up season ending special is delayed by a week is because Cam was on Facebook or in Facebook jail, I should say, for over a week for talking about this very subject and saying what he wanted to do to Vernon Hargraves for running on the field. And I admit I was livid. I fell asleep on Cam, the first night because I literally did not sleep after our Bengals came up short. Then Cam gets to saying what he wants to do physically to Vernon Hargraves, and they put him in jail for a week. So I was mad. I'm like, Cam, was that really worth it, man?
Look, man, I'm not gonna say anything. I don't want to be, I'm not trying to have that happen again. But it's like,
No,
Joe, you're not active, bro. You don't have a uniform on. You're in flip flops. What make you think you can run on the field and celebrate? What
but
make
that's
what
my
make
whole point.
what
Why
make
even give him that much? Like, That said it all that you needed to say right there is the fact that you weren't active. You weren't even dressed on Super Bowl Sunday. That's how little Vernon Hargraves was thought of, and does not probably factor into the plans long term. I don't think he'll be back next year. Well, especially after that stunt, but
No, yeah, he can't be
I
back.
don't think he was going to be anyway.
But no, because the thing is, and what's it's hidden. It's a hidden thing in the game is because it's right before the half. We got two timeouts, about a minute and 40 change. That's our setup. That's our setup. We've been hitting people with that all year. We either go down, get 7 or 3, get the ball out of the half, get 7, which happened because the first play, bomb to T. Higgins. So now, instead of you potentially, getting the ball at the 20, 25, you at the 10. You can't do nothing there. It's hard when you got your back up against the wall at the 10-yard line.
You know
Try to
what?
do a two minute
I
drive.
agree. But you know what? I'm gonna do what I also do sometimes, also as a journalist and podcast host on here. So I'm gonna be counterintuitive. I am not going to jump down Vernon Hargrave's throat like everyone else has, because you know what? At least he did something that I question a lot of people. I watched this NBA All Star weekend. It was at best, to me very lackluster. We know the dunk contest was horrible. Um,
Didn't watch it. I haven't watched the dunk contest since Aaron Gore and Zach Levine. They cheated him.
we,
Aaron
we we
Gore.
really need to not even play the Pro Bowl at this point with the product that's being put out there. So I see a young man that even though he's not dressed, it's the biggest game of the year, probably the biggest game of his life, and his teammates make a play, and he ran out on the field not thinking about it, celebrating, and now people are acting like he's you know mud dirt and the worst thing since Satan incarnate. Uh, there have been worse things. There were worse things that did happen throughout the rest of the game, be it, the egregious defensive holding penalty called on Logan Wilson, my man Tyler Boyd dropping his first pass all year, Zach Taylor's questionable, decision to have Joe Mixon on the sideline for, I would say, three of, if not the three most important plays of the game. I just didn't take as much away from that situation as everybody else did, who continues to talk about it and hammer him and make memes about it. So what? He was in the Super Bowl. His team scored. He was excited. He ran out there. I I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Yep. That's it. I say, come on, bro. At the end of the day, celebrate or not, you wait till your brothers come over on the sideline. You turn up with them then. You
Come
are
on,
dead
bruh.
smack
Is
in the
is
middle of the end zone in flip flops. You know you out of place.
the only come on, bruh, or out of place moment I saw recently was Juwan Howard.
We're
Uh,
not even gonna go there. We're not gonna go there with brother Jawad because I can really go on a tangent, go left field with that, and we're not gonna even talk about Jawan, but we want to really thank you, for all the viewership, all the comments. Like I said, you guys motivated us to do this week in and week out. We never knew that it would turn into a every week thing, and that the demand would be that this high. So we appreciate you, and for that, we're gonna have a facelift for this show. It's gonna be totally different. It's gonna look great. I'm excited for it, and we will be back. We will be back soon. Here's some off-season news. It's not gonna be every week or everything like that. We'll let you guys know when we'll hop on, but um, you know, we'll definitely have off-season news, draft coverage, and different
And I'll
things like
still
that.
be posting content. So, guys,
Yes.
make sure that you still check out the Life in the Jungle page on here, because there still will be updates, stories, polls that come out. We want your feedback and stuff. So, we're not going to disappear off the face of the earth just because we're not recording every week, but we'll still be involved. So, definitely appreciate you and stay tuned.
Yep, absolutely. It was a season finale of Life in the Jungle, season one, 25 episodes. Who knew? First year Life in the Jungle. We'll be talking about our Bengals in the Super Bowl. Like I said, it was something we'll always remember. 2021, 2022 Bengals. Until next season, season 2, we out.